a long time ago, when I was in your shoes on maybe what can be conveyed or what can be interesting or exciting about technology in the next 10 to 15 years. I'll caveat, I have no idea what it's going to be like in 10 to 15 years when you guys would be in my position. Um, but I think the world is always in a better spot when we have more um, systems thinking, troubleshooting, problem solving people. And that is what the core of engineering is. So I was excited to talk to everybody today. Maybe to get going, just as a preface, I want to keep this a little interactive. You could either come off mute to answer some things or ask questions, or comment in the chat. I'll read it throughout. But maybe just to like understand who I'm talking to today, like would love to know what grade y'all are in and what you're hoping to get out of this hour. You could have stayed asleep for another hour. You could have gone outside. Could have done literally anything else with your Saturday when you're not at school. So what makes the next 50, 55 minutes together useful for y'all?
Oh, yes, I
Um,
can start.
oh,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
my bad. Uh, I'm a sophomore in high school, and really, I my mama, my mama told me about y'all. Well, she really introduced me to this, so I'm just here to learn more about this program and what I could do.
Cool.
I'm a junior in high school and I'm looking to expose myself to as many STEM careers as possible, and this is a good way of doing that.
Nice. Why? Just curious. What about STEM? Like, why do you want to expose yourself? Like, what is the goal?
Well, I know I want to go into STEM, and because I just like the problem solving aspect of it, and um, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do, so that's why I'm looking.
Nice. Okay, cool. Okay, we got a couple people more interested in understanding about software. That's cool.
I'm
Uh,
oh, sorry.
yeah. No, go
Uh,
ahead.
I'm I'm currently a senior, and I found it really interesting how I think in your background you said you founded two companies, which is like really interesting how you can like combine engineering and entrepreneurship. So I was just more curious about that.
Cool. We can definitely talk about that. Brooke, it looks like you're wanting to come off mute, but I can't tell if you actually uh, are going to.
Yeah, sorry, I just didn't want to interrupt anybody. I'm a senior as well, and I'm kind of like interested in computers, but I'm not entirely sure. But I love engineering. Like I took all the like AP physics courses I could just because I love engineering. But I wanted to know more about specifically software engineering.
Cool. And then I'm a freshman. I'm interested in this field, likely because I want to do things related to cybersecurity. My uncle's a software engineer. Cool. Um, okay. I'll tell you guys a little bit about me, a little bit about my journey, and try to address some of just like what it's like. So for background, I grew up in Northwest Indiana, small town. I went to a public high school. Honestly, was an absolutely terrible student. I was good at math, but never learned how to learn. Um, and I got decent grades, but it was more an effort of I was really interested in all of the clubs and extracurriculars that come along with school. The actual classes were whatever. Not saying that that's a good approach. Probably don't repeat what I did, because going to college was a giant wake up call for me. I'm pretty sure, actually, in hindsight, I know my parents and my grandparents were pretty sure I was going to fail out when I went to college. Uh, and But they still let me go and try. So when I got to school, I went to a college in Indiana called Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. The Chicago equivalent would be like Illinois Institute of Technology. It's a real deep um, STEM school. Basically, it was 2,000 kids. pretty much only offered engineering, math, science, specialized in undergraduate education. Truthfully, I went there because I was concerned that if I went to a big school like a Purdue or Illinois, I would have more fun than study. And truth be told, that probably would have happened. So I went and surrounded myself with a bunch of people that were like-minded and focused. When I was touring Rose, a line that has stuck with me to this day was, it's a school full of people that are in the top 10 of their class. And when you're surrounded by 600 kids that are all in the top 10, you are no longer in the top 10, just by distribution. And that is a huge ego hit to a lot of people. A lot of people that I know, and myself included, coming out of high school, being the smart kid, being the successful kid was like a part of my identity. And when you get thrown into the deep end of getting C's, getting D's for the first time in your life and really having to struggle, it's a big wake up call. And I think this is kind of like engineering STEM lesson number one, which is perseverance, discipline, and the pursuit of learning is at the core of everything. And so learning how to learn is the most important part. It's not calculus, it's not physics, it's not differential equations, it's not any of these particular classes. It's how do you get faced with something that you absolutely have no idea what it's about, and then figure out bite-sized ways to push it through your brain. So throughout college, I focused primarily on getting internships. I had one after my sophomore year, or sorry, one after my freshman year. I just took whatever I possibly could. It was a consulting gig through my school. The only thing I could really remember about that job, I finally learned how to like coffee because I was so bored throughout the day. Taking coffee breaks was like something to break up the day. And I learned that no freshman in college should ever write drivers for printers. So these are like little pieces of code that runs on printers that lets it connect to Bluetooth. I had literally no idea what I was doing, and I think I maybe wrote 10 lines of code that entire summer. Giant failure. But right before I took that internship was actually the first time I ever programmed. So unlike a lot of kids going to college that went into software engineering, I never wrote a bit of code. I had no idea how to do the discipline, where I felt like most other people had been programming since they were in like 8th grade. They'd taken AP coding classes in college, and I was super far behind. But throughout all of that, one thing that I was pretty sure of was that this way of thinking clicked in my brain. The first time I ever wrote code, it was like a magical thing of you type in a couple characters and you saw a little like triangle jump up and down. You were able to like write a game in your first assignment. And the act of being able to do something really quickly, see a result, and then change it and tinker with it really fit how I like to do things. Where when I was doing physics 2 learning, whatever the hell we learned then, moments of inertia, like deep physics, more mechanical engineering stuff, I realized that very slow progress to ultimately delivering something. And my brain likes the quick iteration loops that is software. Throughout the rest of school, I mainly focused on, what was I doing then? It was a lot of work in exploring a bunch of different clubs, societies. I was really involved in my fraternity, which helped me kind of learn how to manage 80 other crazy people, which was like a fun little corollary to management later. I had 2 more internships. One was supposed to be with the NSA. It got canceled. This is probably too long ago in memory, but it was due to a leak in the federal government that had a lot of public notoriety. So I went to my I basically got an internship with this small startup in Chicago called Kira, which later became Relativity, that I spent a decade with. I worked there coming out of college. I got really, really fortunate, and I'm going to say lucky, to get an opportunity to work with a man by the name of Will Lederer. He was a consultant at the time. The company trusted me as a fresh out of school grad to work with a consultant that worked 1 day a week. And him and I started a security program at that company. And it was a lot of growth. The company grew from, I think it was about 120 when I joined, to about 400 in the next 3 years. And we grew a security program that was able to secure most of the world's sensitive legal documents. So that company really focused on this process called e-discovery, which is when one company sues another company, you have to go get and collect all of their electronic documents and records to review to present in court. So your entire job is, how do I find the 5 or 6 documents that prove a case? And in that, you're collecting all of those companies' most sensitive details. And so security is really important there. It was a giant field. It was really, really fun. But ultimately, what I learned was I like building a lot, not necessarily process and controls. So as the security program grew and became stable, I found myself wanting more of a challenge and more growth. So I pivoted back into what I know of software engineering, more in a management capability. So at the time, I was managing 20-ish people, got an opportunity to grow a global team. So hired about 60 people, both in Chicago and Poland, grew a team to about 100 people, and learned a ton of amazing things about what it takes to nurture talent, establish great culture, how important it is to align mission and vision to what people are working on. But ultimately found that management at that scale is not for me. I like to be closer to the work, closer to customers, closer to technical details than what you can achieve at that scale. It's just not what is important. So I'd always had an opportunity and desire to be an entrepreneur. My dad started a company. My grandpa started a company. Much to the chagrin of my grandma and mom, I still wanted to start a company. And I took a little bit of a risk and went into a field Miguel talked about. It was a fintech business focused on student housing. So we got an opportunity, met with a couple great owners of off-campus student housing at major universities across the US. And they wanted a better way to give a good experience to students. A lot of legacy tools still made you pay with checks. And I will tell you, I haven't written a check in 10 years, so I can't imagine you guys even know how to write a check. Maybe they teach it. I can't imagine why. But we wanted to give a new experience. We grew and launched that business for about 1.5 years. And ultimately, I wasn't motivated by the mission anymore, motivated by the customers. And we left, I say we, myself and my co-founder left that business to pursue where we thought emerging tech will go, and spent most of last year consulting, advising, helping other startups and people that we know with challenges that they had. And late last year, we decided that a mission that we really wanted and customers that we really wanted to help were nonprofit and social entrepreneurs start and run their causes. And from an entrepreneurship side, those are great customers, but nonprofits don't make profit, so it's really hard to make a business for them. So we took our fintech background, our compliance background, and interviewed about 100 people and figured out a business that would ultimately help nonprofit leaders focus on their cause and let us do their accounting, their finance, and their bookkeeping. So they're not business people. So that was something that a lot of nonprofits are very ready to give up. So day in, day out now, I'm writing code almost the entire day, meeting with customers. And I would say, to give a typical day in the life, I've probably had 3 different phases in my career. One would be an engineer at like a medium to large size company. One would be as a manager at a large size company. And now one would be as an engineer at a startup. They're all pretty different. As an engineer in a typical software company, you are doing a ton of teamwork. A lot of people, I think, associate coding with this like nerd that sits in a dark closet and stares at his keyboard screen all day. That might be like a good motif for an engineer, but that's not what the work is. You're spending a lot of time collaborating and working with your team, because remember, in this space, unlike a lot of other engineering fields, you're not really ever limited by physics. You're very much limited by what is the newest thing in approach and abstraction on technology. And so there's always 100 different ways to solve something. And when you could approach something in so many different ways, getting agreement with a team on which way to do it actually is the challenge. So a lot of software is actually, how do you coordinate a group of people towards a task, more than it is, how do I write the line of code? As a manager, my day ranged from 6 to 18 hours of meetings in any given day. COVID was crazy. Right at the start of COVID, the amount of meetings and coordination you have to do to keep people aligned, and how do you reinvent how to build and share context when everybody's remote, when you were previously in person and you could look over somebody's shoulder, took a lot of effort. And then now, as a engineer in a startup, I gotta say, I love my day. So my day is typically 14 to 16 hours, either thinking about work, working, coding, talking to my co-founder. I know it sounds crazy. It's not the work-life balance that a lot of people talk about. But I've always found when you're super motivated, it's hard to put down what you're doing. And that is ultimately what I've been chasing. So that's a little bit about me. I guess I'm going to pause here, and some of that might have been digestible. Some of it might have been too complex, or like I threw out words that didn't make a lot of sense. So I apologize. Would love to know like what I could dive in deeper on or talk about that resonated with y'all.
If I'm correct, you did found 2 companies, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Could you talk more about that experience and like what you learned from it?
Yeah. I would say we founded one company and are in the process of founding another. And why I'm making that distinction. One company we knew we had a market for. This one we are still proving it out. And let me talk about it more from maybe less of the business angle, which is what has always been interesting to me and why we struck out to do this is having the I've always had a motivation to essentially be in control of my own destiny. something that really that is honestly a character fault of mine. I don't do well with rules, especially arbitrary rules. And I'll put arbitrary in quotes. Most rules are for a reason. If you don't understand them, you consider them arbitrary. But I've always ran to a place that I could be in control of my own career, my own goals, what I'm working on, and have the ability to sway and influence how we solve things in a way that I think is correct. You can still do that in any company. It involves a lot more alignment, and over time, I didn't feel like my time was spent best getting that alignment. I just wanted to go do it. But honestly, starting a company is incredibly risky and scary, and I'm in a fortunate enough place to feel like I have accumulated enough experience, both technically to know how to do it. I've had enough mentorship and learning on the business side to feel like I have enough context. And I have an amazing co-founder that is amazing at sales and the business side. So I don't have to think about that as much. And I have found myself in a spot that my life, I'm not married, I don't have kids. So it is a more approachable thing to do right now. So it felt a lot like now was the right time. And what I've mainly learned from business 1 to business 2 is how important it is to work on a problem and a product that you are deeply passionate about. I will tell you when I left Relativity to found my first company, I'm like, I could learn how to get passionate about anything. Tech is tech. I just want to write some cool code, make some good software. It's really, really important when you are in these absolute moments of doubt, when you have had 40 people in a row tell you that your idea is bad or it'll never work or they're not interested. You have to have and develop that conviction yourself. And in order to do that, you have to be deeply passionate about what you're working on. And I think that's true kind of regardless of where you are, but it is really, really important when you start your own thing to be able to have conviction when others don't, because there's a reason this thing doesn't exist. And it's because most of the people in the world believe it isn't a thing. And you have to not only disagree with them, but you have to disagree with them day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, to kind of will it into the world.
Somewhat connecting towards that, throughout your career, are there what are the significant lessons which you have learned and you have wished that you knew before? And
Yeah. So here, a couple things. One is the absolute importance of mentorship, and not only mentorship, how important a good boss is. So let me like distinguish those two. Sorry, my dog has decided it is time to play. So if you hear little grunting, I apologize. So one tangible thing that I think I did a lot as a new grad coming into the field was, and I got this advice from somebody, but whatever your goal is, whether it's to be a senior engineer, whether it's to be just better at your job, go find somebody that you really respect. You think they are absolutely amazing at what they do, and just ask them, like, can I learn from you? Can I, can we go get coffee? Can I buy you coffee? Can I take you out to lunch? And just pick their brain and learn what makes them great, and just go one step. I think a lot of times in mentorship, and I've been guilty of this, you find somebody that's like a CEO of a company or a manager too many steps away, and their advice is just not practical. So first focus on being great at what you do, and then go one step above and one step above, and find that mentorship chain, because you develop a network and a network of mentors as you go. The other thing with that is, I've seen it too often that somebody's direct manager or boss ultimately is their biggest career impediment. Meaning, if you do not have somebody that is invested in you, that is working and aligned to push you forward, that is challenging you to get better, you're not going to grow. And by the way, I'm not saying that growth and promotions and a career focus is the most important thing. It is what I valued a lot in life. But the last piece of advice I'll give right now is like something that I wish I would have rationalized sooner, was being intentional with what you're doing. I spent a lot of time from 18 to 27 following the path you're supposed to. Get into a good school, get a good job, grow, like get promoted, become a manager, get a higher paying job. And honestly, I was left at 28, living a fairly shallow life. I was traveling all the time. I was having fun. I was enjoying things, but it wasn't for a purpose. It was just like because I was told to go do that. And I spent a lot of time from 28 to 32 rethinking what my priorities were, and thinking through the intentionality of why you're doing what you're doing and where you're spending your time is something I really wish I would have spent time on earlier, rather than just chasing what I was supposed to.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding, the software engineering field is becoming very competitive, and I know you touched on this a little bit, but what would you recommend for high school students looking to stand out in the field and I guess like get this, I guess, long-term success?
Yeah, are you talking about like a lot of the doom and gloom that coding's going to go away and AI is going to
Oh
take all our
yeah,
jobs?
because yeah, I hear that all the time.
Yeah. Um, so do I. I guess a couple things. One would be one second. Sorry. Okay, so the primary thing I'm going to say is, regardless of whether AI can actually become the best programmer in the world, or whatever the current saying is, something that I think is a truism is the skill set of software engineering, or the skill set of engineering in general, which is taking a very large problem that somebody has, breaking it down into its subcomponents until you could actually think about what is a solution, and then systematically solving those subproblems to tie together to solve the big problem. That's all that engineering is always going to be needed, regardless. The tools might change, the way how you work will change, but the base skills are still some of the most important things you could do. When it comes to actual coding, I will give you my take in the world. And by the way, this field has dramatically changed in the past 8 months more than it changed in the past 8 years. So it's like, to be honest, it's hard for me to answer this. But here's my take on this. Most of what this AI functionality and all these new things coming out are doing, they're just making it one level higher of how engineers think. And so if you look historically, I don't write punch cards. I don't work in assembly. I don't write memory-based code. If you know what any of these things are, that's what like our parents and grandparents did. I don't do any of that. And so what is AI potentially going to do? Make it so you have to think at a systems level rather than a syntax level. So it will make it harder. You will have to learn more. Just like to be an engineer now, you have to know more than you have to know more concepts, know more fundamentals, know more frameworks than what people did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But it's not going to go away. So how do you stand out was your question. I think the people that always stand out are the people that embrace where things are going. And so I think it's a mix of learning how to get really fast at solving problems with new technology, but still being grounded in the fundamentals and basics of what the field is. So as an engineer, you can mix delivering whatever your customer needs with the ability to maintain it and give them a good experience. So don't be afraid of what it is. Start with the fundamentals. And I think, honestly, AI tools should make fundamentals easier to grasp. Hopefully you don't have to learn pointers in C anymore as your first thing you have to do. Hopefully, like, it's actually something that is useful to both you and whoever you're working with and whoever you're solving problems for. Is that helpful? I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool.
I have another follow-up question
Yeah.
in a nutshell. So, this is sort of like what Miguel talked about, but if you were like in your past self, what would you do differently if you would do anything different at all?
You know, this is always a funny question, because the cliche answer that I like truly believe is like, everything that I did in the past led to where I am today, so I am happy now. So, i.e., I would do nothing differently. That is not a useful answer to you. So it is what I believe, but that is not a useful answer to you. What would I do differently? I will again echo be more intentional. I did not really learn or think about intentionality until much later in my life, after I burnt myself out so bad working that I literally went on a vacation to South Dakota and slept in a dark room for 14 days straight. Like, don't do that. Don't drive yourself to that level. I think from a learning and career perspective, what I would do differently is focus on being, I don't know if you've ever heard this term, a T-shaped person. And so if you think about the letter T, it's very broad and it's deep in one space. What I think is very, very important as a high school, college age person is to go and experiment and learn and try and experience so many different things, so many different cultures, so many different places, so many different groups, events, whatever, to ultimately give you a great foundation. But it's still incredibly important to go really deep in something. Whether it be a video game, become amazing at a video game. Whether it be lifting, whether it be a sport, really doesn't matter. What matters more is the skills you learn and the personal, what you learn about yourself as you have to persevere and gain discipline to become great at something. And when you just focus on going wide, it's really easy to just like, you almost get like ADHD and you switch to all these different things all the time. And like nothing is ever like fun or good enough. But when you go really deep in something, you go through a trough of like, oh my God, this is impossible, through like, I'm getting it, through, oh my God, this is impossible, to, oh, I actually accomplished something. And that as how what you learn about yourself on that journey is incredibly important. There's a bunch of stuff written about T-shaped people. You could go read it. I could have also summarized it completely incorrectly. That is what I remember. There was a question, being the founder of your company, how do you manage to balance work life with personal life? If you were to ask different people in my life, not well. Here's what I'll say. I I'll give you my typical day right now. I wake up at 7:38 a.m. I eat breakfast with my fiance. I take my dog on a walk. I go to the gym. I get to work at 10 a.m. I work until 7. I come home, make dinner, hang out with my fiance again. I like that life. Some would say, hey, that's a lot of work. And by the way, when I'm hanging out with my fiance at 7, I'm likely on my computer, like researching stuff or coding, but I'm like hanging out with her physically. That works for me. I play golf in the summer. I go on a couple trips a year with my friends. That balance works for me and I enjoy it. So to me, it's more about how do I live a life that I could do day in, day out, 365 days a year and not get sick of it than it is about any type of work-life balance or 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9, whatever, or the worst one, work-life integration, whatever that means. It's more about how do you live sustainably, and how do you build systems that keep you engaged and energized day in, day out. Yeah, absolutely. Try to think, is there anything else? I guess question back to you guys, like what is exciting about the idea of working in technology, and like what is motivating you to want to go into this field? And here, I'll answer first for myself, just to give you like how shallow of an answer this could be. I went into software engineering and STEM because I wanted to get out of school with a job that paid me a lot of money. That's all, like that is why I did it. For the longest time, I wanted to be a doctor. And then I learned that you had to go to school for 12 years and you don't get paid for like 14 years. And I'm like, absolutely not. So that's how shallow of an answer that could be. Hopefully you have maybe better reasons, but just telling you a little bit about myself.
I want to go into like technology and STEM because there's always new things coming up and it's always changing, like you said. And I think it's quite fascinating. Like it is hard to keep up with it, but it's also like you get to be surrounded by new things.
Yeah, awesome.
I would add to that. I would add to her. It's at the forefront of innovation, and everything builds around that in our age. So it is a very important field.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. I think I'm going to hit on something. Sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. Pratyush, you said you wanted to be in cybersecurity, and I kind of glossed over and badmouthed something that was like such a foundational principle in my career. Security and that time in my life was it's so important. And when we're like, let me link it to something we just said. Technology is ever evolving. It's kind of pushing what is culture, what is society forward, increasingly fast. And when you do that, you develop a ton of gaps in those systems that make them dangerous for humans, whether it be privacy concerns, whether it be sensitive information linking, whether it just be like the ability to take advantage of people. A lot of these systems like leave those gaps open. And the early part of my career being focused on essentially on the part of engineering that is when you're building something, you always look at it from the positive side, right? You're solving a problem for a customer, you're building it to do something, you're hopefully building it to scale and last and be durable. But as a security engineer, you're really looking at something on how do I break it? How do I exploit it in a way that the person that made it would never have thought about to do something for my own goals? So how do I take this thing and spin it on its head? So there was so much interesting learning and experience by essentially working backwards from a solution into where somebody might have made a mistake and then putting pressure on that mistake to ultimately accomplish something. Now that is one art of something that's called like application security that I spend a lot of time on. The giant field. So whether it's that, whether it's monitoring a product to watch for exploits and then responding to that. So whether like a data breach or a something called a phishing email or something called like a denial of service attack, you have to build systems around all of that. So the fundamentals you learn when you're in security also translate to so many other parts of software and tech that it's incredibly important into giving you a great foundation to do anything. And that is another field that I think is only going to get more and more important. Even if you think about like, I'll link it into these AI systems. An interesting thing to think about that you could be doing if you were in cybersecurity would be, is it a possibility that you can essentially generate a bunch of websites that poison the training data for these AI systems that essentially let them say false information to people in responses? Or can I tune them so I always get my website recommended by ChatGPT at the top, even if it has nothing to do with that system? Those are all the type of risks that are imposed in this new area that 2 years ago, not a single person was thinking about. Well, people at OpenAI were probably thinking about it, but not very many people in the general public were thinking about it. And so if you think technology evolves fast, security evolves faster, because you have to stay in front of the people that are pushing the boundaries of technology on how to protect everybody else from where the technology is going. So it was a great 6 years of my life. I got pretty jaded by it, so that is why I like gave a fairly flippant answer at the start. But I had two amazing bosses that really helped me grow in that space. I had a great team and great memories. And I think it's an amazing discipline for people to go work in. It's just not for me.
I had a question. This is like going back a little earlier, but you mentioned where you are now at the startup company, you do a lot of coding. Could you like tell us a little bit about what projects you're currently working on?
Yeah. So my current company, what we do is we offer social entrepreneurs, so people starting brand new nonprofits, a service, quote unquote, that allows them to manage all of their accounting, bookkeeping, and financials fairly automatically. So under the hood, that means I'm interfacing with systems that create bank accounts, systems that create credit cards, systems that do accounting, and systems that do payments, to kind of give a very, very simple interface for people that don't know anything about any of those things to deploy and raise funds to raise funds for their cause and deploy them to have the impact that they want to have. So, for example, something that after we get off of this call, just to like give an example of what my today might look like. Last night, so it's February 1st, we're supposed to generate bank statements for all of our bank accounts, right? Everybody gets a bank statement. That failed on 2 bank accounts. I don't know why. It worked on the other like 45 of them. I don't know why it didn't work on these 2. So I have to go figure out what's different about them and troubleshoot it and get a fix out. So the accountants by Monday could have their bank statements. Or the other one that will be probably tomorrow or early next week will be if you're an employee at these nonprofits and you spend money on your own credit card, you want to get reimbursed for that, right? That flow in our system is not great right now. You have to do a little bit more manual work. Like it's fine. but I want to make it much more seamless that you could go on your phone. You could, from a text message or an email, send us a receipt that you spent money on. We'll use AI to parse the receipt, and we'll generate that reimbursement request and route it to your boss for you. There's no reason you need to do any more work than send a text or an email to us. So that will be kind of a system I need to write over the course of the next week. But those type of problems on figuring out what people are actually trying to do, aka I spent money, I want the money back because I spent the money, and how do I make that as simple as possible, is what I spend almost all my day thinking about.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we have about 10 minutes left on this call. Maybe we'll take one or two more questions if there's anything anybody wants to ask, and then we'll give our closing remarks. So if you have any lingering questions, feel free to ask them now.
I
I'll
got a
just go ahead
question.
and ask something.
We got
All
two
right,
more.
go
We'll
ahead.
take
I'll
both.
ask later.
We'll take both.
Oh, okay. Well, what would you say is a unique advantage of your field in terms of like how it balances with your life or the workflow, anything you think?
Yeah. I can think of two. One is, as it currently stands, it's probably the quickest moving of the engineering disciplines. And by the way, that's good and bad. I find that as an advantage because you're not constrained by, let's say, physics like a civil engineer is, or known systems and regulations like an electrical engineer. You can kind of constantly push things forward at a much quicker rate. So you never get bored and you constantly have to learn. And that puts you into a space that actually every other field in the world kind of relies on you. I don't think it's very common, if you think about it, that in one discipline, you could kind of go to any other discipline in the world, learn it, and make something for them. There's software in acoustics, there's software in medicine, there's software in finance, there's software in, I don't know, trading card games, right? Like kind of whatever your true passion is, you can go make it a little bit better by bringing some type of automation and systems-based thinking. And that's like the core of what software is. The other one, to be honest with you, fairly lucrative field that allows a ton of flexibility. There's a lot of remote work. There's a lot of different levels of companies and what they need. So you could kind of work as hard as you could. This might be changing soon, but what has historically been true is you could consult and work 20 to 30 hours a week if you want to and make a pretty good life in Malaysia. I don't know, make up a place, low cost of living place. Or you can move to San Francisco, sleep under a desk, and think you're working on something that will change the world. And that might happen. So the pure breadth of the space, to me, is probably its biggest advantage.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Juan?
Typically right now, with you doing everything you're doing, how much do you typically get paid? Like per year?
Yeah, the range is all over the place. New college grads in Chicago probably get paid anywhere between low end 70,000, high end 90,000, with some bonus. Look, there was once a new grad that I tried to hire that told me that they were going to go make $600,000 at Facebook directly out of school. It's great for her, them. But it ranges. You'll live a comfortable life. And this isn't necessarily financial advice, but just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean that you won't get yourself into problems in different ways. A lot of the people that I know that make the most money are the most broke because they have lifestyle creep. So in this field, I guess the other piece of advice I might give everybody, learn personal finance. Really important. When you go to these fields, you make enough money that you need to learn personal finance because the world wants to take your money.
Okay, I think that was the last question. I want to say thank you again for presenting about your career in software engineering and sharing the advice with everyone here. Um, I hope everyone took something away from this presentation. And before we end, I just wanted to plug in a couple of our own events that are coming up soon. So if you guys have read our email blasts, we have the Washington Award coming up, which will be on Thursday, February 20th. And what that is like this huge dinner event honoring one scientist or like engineer paving a way through a certain field. So this year it'll be Dr. Marcus Buehler from MIT, who has pioneering work in computational modeling and bio-inspired materials. So this is like a huge award show. You have like a fancy dinner, you dress up, and you get to network with a bunch of really cool people. And then our second event for February is the Triple C event, which stands for the Case Career Cafe. It's where we'll have like an in-person kind of brunch with a bunch of engineers, and you'll be able to see and talk to them in person and get to see a bunch of your other fellow case members as well. So, if you're interested in this kind of thing and want to see more, feel free to sign up for those events. But again, one more thank you to Matt Spurr. It was really nice meeting you, and we appreciate like the entire meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for engaging. Thanks for the conversations. If you have any more, if you ever want to get a hold of me, my email is matt at spur. Email. I'll try to reply. Let me know.
Yeah.
Happy to be of help for anybody here. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. And we'll have this meeting recorded on YouTube in case any of you guys want to go back and listen to some of the questions or some of the advice again. So with that, I think we're good to go. Bye, everyone.